I know the title says 5 tips. Today we're going to be going over like roughly 8 tips to get the master tier. Stay tuned.
What it is.
You already know what it is. It's your self-proclaimed mediocre Pokemon Unite master here, Tiggly man. Today, we're going to be going over some tips to get you to master rank. Let's start with tip number 1. Tip number 1. Remember this is to get your mindset in the right place. Getting to master rank isn't about steamrolling the enemy team over and over again. It's about consistently good decision making to play your best odds at all times to usually have the best outcomes in every single game. Simple enough, right? I'm essentially telling you, do not overextend. Don't chase your opponents, even if they are close to death, unless you are certain you can kill them and get away. There is no sense in killing someone and then getting yourself killed in the process, right? Don't get tunnel vision. Good decisions at all times. A retreat is sometimes just as good as a kill. Remember that. Okay? Consistent decision making. Number 2, as soon as you boot up a game, right? We're in practice mode right now, but pretend we're in a game. Play a Pokemon that you are most comfortable with. Team composition is a thing, yes, but if you are going to climb to master rank, if you have a main that you played 150 games with and a side character you played 30 with, more than likely your main, you'll be able to make more consistent and good decisions on that Pokemon. You'll know its limits, you'll know when you can engage on certain people, you know when you can execute certain people. Do not get super caught up in trying to figure out the primo team composition at the end of the day, because you're solo queuing. So do what you can play your best with. Simple enough. Don't get tunnel vision. Play your best game every game, right? Now, as soon as you select this character, select the enemy. As soon as this screen boots up, get information. Try to figure out who's more than likely jungling, try to figure out who's going to be top lane, and start to come up with your game plan. Do I have to play more defensively? Should I play offensively? You know, do we need to evolve? Then we got to hang out towards our side of the map. If they're both basic Pokemon up top, we're not going to press them, right? Because our power spike will take place at level 4. They're going to be strong at level 1, okay? Tip number, I think this is 4. Optimize this early game farm. Clear this as quick as you can. And what I mean by that, let me show you something. So yeah, I'm just casually attacking, letting it rip, doing my thing. When I talk about optimizing, I got this Fury Cutter, right? Both Ambipoms, just like that. I got Rock Slide, boom, both Ambipoms, just like that. I am optimizing my early game farm clear, which will allow me to be the first man to make it to this Corphish. Do it every single time. And then I think this is roughly like tip number 5. Get the contested farm. Do your best to get the contested farm and immediately go back and get your farm. Unless you make a fantastic trade with your opponents, forcing a retreat. If they retreat to their goal to try to heal, you can then engage this Ambipom, and when you engage it, pull it. Pull it. Get it right into here. So they have no idea what health it's at. Playing your best odds at all times. If you do not make a good trade. If you don't. If your opponent's HP is the same as yours, why would you push to their side to try to take their farm? Why would you push to their side of the field where they have the advantage and you're both roughly the same level, right? But you're on their side of the field. So they get to win that encounter, assuming they play correctly, right? Let's go over the most basic tip in the game. Rotate to Dreadnaught. You have to rotate to Dreadnaught. There are certain circumstances where you won't be able to rotate. Let's say you got crushed in top lane and you're playing tank, right? I'm playing Crustle and I got crushed in top lane. By the time Dreadnaught spawns, maybe I'm barely level 5 because it was a bad stretch. If the whole enemy team's level like 7 and stuff, you might as well stay up here. You're just going to feed, etc., etc. You want to get your level up. Outside of that, if you are playing a normal game and there is no outside circumstances, you hit your usual level 5 or 6 when Dreadnaught spawns, you immediately rotate down. Immediately. If your team is staggered, just do your best to play defensively and keep an eye on it. By staggered, I mean a couple people are dead and you're waiting for them to spawn back in. Do not dive in alone. Try to keep an eye on Dreadnaught, watch his HP, go for a steal. But as soon as everyone spawns back, you push that objective as quick as you can and you try to zone people off of it. Simple enough, right? First Dreadnaught, extremely important. Now, after you beat Dreadnaught, you can rotate top, you can recall and heal up, whatever you so choose to do. You can break the enemy side goal zone, just whatever you think is advantageous. More than likely, if you took Dreadnaught, you could score and just immediately rotate top to Rotom. Right? Next up. So since you got Dreadnaught, you may have gotten Dreadnaught, may have lost Dreadnaught. Tip number 6. Know when to team fight, score, or farm. So if the enemy team takes Dreadnaught, let's say we're all level 6. They have 3 level 8s and 2 level 7s. Tell me, why would you team fight? Tell me why. Why does everyone do that? Why does every single person team fight? Well, not every single person, but why do most people like to team fight when they lose a Dreadnaught and the whole enemy team has a level advantage? If the whole enemy team has a level advantage on you and their alts are up, let's say your alts are up too. If they have a level advantage and they're competent, they'll win. And not because they're just way better than you, but literally because you're engaging them at a disadvantage. Why would you do that? So if they have a level advantage, know when to farm, when to pull from team fights, and sometimes know when to give up your goal. Because there's going to be occasions where like, oh, I got to defend the goal, where it's a lost cause and all you're going to do is feed a kill and they'll break the goal, where you could have just let them break the goal, right? It sounds really simple. It's not. You need to focus on not getting tilted. Don't get tunnel vision. Think competitively at all times. Think strategically. Don't get all excited because you're about to kill somebody. Constantly analyze the environment. Watch your mini-map. If you're about to execute someone, right, and you're pushing, you cross this midline, but you got an enemy, you know, down here and above you, but you're like, man, I could kill him real quick. By the time you kill him, you're sandwiched, dude. There's going to be 2 people converging on you like this, and you won't be able to make it back, and then that kill was pointless because they just shut you down right afterwards. So know when to fight, farm, or score. Always farm when you're at a deficit as quick as you can. And the art of farming and putting on pressure to keep opponents off of your farm and pushing opponents' farm, that'll just come with experience. But please do not team fight when you're down 2 levels. Do everyone a favor. Try to signal people to retreat and stuff like that when that starts happening. It does not turn out good. Right? And if the whole enemy team is on Dreadnaught and they got the first Dreadnaught and they have a level advantage, the best thing you can do is go for a steal. If the whole team isn't there, ambush them. If the whole team is there, you should try to go for a steal. Do not dive into it head on. You'll lose if you dive into it head on. Right? Tip number 7. I think it's 7. Save your ultimate for Zapdos. People love to exhaust their ultimate like at the 2.5 minute mark when they're trying to make that super aggressive score. You know, they just bagged the 3rd Dreadnaught and they're sprinting towards the enemy goals, and the whole enemies, they're like, I'm gonna pick someone off. After the 2 minute mark, the respawn timers increase and points are doubled. So keep your cool and get ready to make those end game plays. Unless you have an insane lead, then yeah, go ahead and just dunk real quick and then just defend the Zapdos. But outside of that, save your entire kit for that end game battle. Anyone can come back in this game at any time. And if you exhaust your alts, but the enemy team has their alts, they therefore have an advantage and you just threw your lead. So keep that in mind. Never exhaust your alt before Zapdos. And I mentioned this before. This is roughly like tip number 8, right? Don't get tunnel vision from tilt. If you're dying on repeat and you're getting upset, do not get tunnel vision and think like, well, I just gotta kill them, and start chasing them and stuff like that. That's gonna get you nowhere. If you've been dying to them on repeat, you're gonna keep dying to them on repeat. Keep your cool, make the best decisions, know when to retreat, know when to help your team, stick by certain people that work well with you, and try to come back that way. Farm up, try to get to an even level. If someone's really hard to play against, try to find them when they're by themselves and pick them off, or when they overextend onto your territory and they're weak. You know, if you get killed a lot and you start to get that tunnel vision thing going on, you're going to forget how to play the game. You won't think you do. You won't, because, you know, you're ultra rank. I know how to play this game. But yet here you are chasing down the same opponent over and over again because you're upset that they killed you and you're subconsciously wanting to kind of get revenge. Don't do that. Play the game. killing the Pokemon isn't the name of the game. Scoring, farming, securing objectives, helping your team. That's the name of the game, right? And kind of go along with the tunnel vision thing. Retreats are almost as good as kills. When you get tunnel vision, you might have that phenomenon going on where you're winning every fight, but you get executed because you push them onto their side and they're able to kind of pick you off that way. If you can get them to retreat and go heal up, that buys you a second, right? So if they retreat to go heal up, you push them back, they run to their goal. As soon as they do that, they're weak and they're not going to regenerate quickly. You can just dive on down and start taking the Sodno. And it's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to accept your healing, or are you going to let me take your farm? Right? And if you do let me take your farm, then you open up an opportunity for me to kill you because you're low. You're trying to heal. You are low. You see what I mean? Good decision making. Instead of pushing them onto their goal zone and fighting them while they are healing, why not pull them off? Pressure them. Pressure them, take their experience, make them come to you, bring the fight to you. That's how you need to be thinking. Do not get tunnel vision and push them to their advantage point, right? And then, yeah, let that stick. I kind of got ahead of myself. I apologize. This is my first like tips video. I was kind of a little scatterbrained, but yes, at the end of the day, consistent, good decision making. Let's do a little recap. Predict who is going to be in your lane and come up with a generalized game plan of how you're going to play. If you have to play defensively from the start, play aggressively. If you can take the contested farm, if you can't, don't overextend early game. Early kills are almost pointless, but dying early is bad, right? Know your strengths. Oh, sorry. Optimize level 1 farm. All the Ambipoms that lead you up to your starting point in the game, work on clearing them as fast as you can. It's an art, and it saves you 2 seconds to get to the neutral farm. But if you're consistently smashing those Ambipoms, more times than not, you'll make it to core fish first, and that's a huge advantage. That could be the difference of being a level 4 compared to 3 to them, right? And that'll take us into our next thing. Know your strengths versus your opponent. This will just come with time and experience. But if you're top laning, it's you're Crustle, and your buddy is Sylveon, you're both going to evolve at level 4. So that means level 1s through 3 is rough. Let's say your opponent's Lucario and Cramorant. They're going to start very strong. You're not going to want to play super aggressive against them. Let them bring the fight to your side of the field. That's your advantage point, right? You can retreat quickly, you can get to your goal, you can grab your berries, etc., etc. Do not overextend onto their side. That is stupid. Next, rotate to Dreadnaught when he spawns. The only time this is iffy is if it's second Dreadnaught and the whole enemy team has a 2-level lead. Sometimes trying to take it will just be suicide. That'll be up to you guys, but make sure if you have the big brain and you know damn well that you will lose on Dread, you click that retreat button. Do your team a favor, spam it. Someone will always show up and die on it, but if it's hopeless, why would you show up? Why would you just feed the enemy team? Because at that point, they're getting Dreadnaught and an entire team wipe. And the team wipe is bigger than the Dreadnaught. So just let them have it, right? Or if you're good, go for a steal. Hide in a bush, keep an eye on him, save an ability, save your ult, etc. Don't dive in head first. Next, know when to team fight, score, or farm. When you are behind, don't team fight. People like to team fight when they're behind because they get tunnel vision because they're upset. If you are behind, you will lose every team fight. That's how it goes. So make sure you know when to farm, make sneaky scores, and try to get your experience back up to par with the enemies. As they level up, they're going to level up slower. If you're behind, you'll level up slightly quicker, and you can turn that 2-level gap into a 1-level gap by the time Zapdos spawns. That'll lead us right into the thing. Save your ult for Zapdos. If you're behind and you're farming, and you take that 2-level gap to a 1-level gap, you have your ult, but they don't. You are at an advantage, because if you have Buddy Barrier, you're gonna have more HP than them, you're gonna give your friend more HP than them, you're gonna be able to do more damage than them. Save your ult for the Zapdos fight. Damn it, remember that. Remember that. It is so big. Unless you have a gross lead and you think dropping that 50 stack on their second goal right before Zap is that important, then great, drop your ult and kill someone on the point. But save your ult for Zap. If you don't save your ult for Zap, the enemy team will, and you will pay for it every single time. I promise you. Next one, just don't get tunnel vision. If you get tilted, deep breaths, think about the game. The game is not about bullying your opponents 24/7. Play it, right? You don't have to fight constantly. Your goal is to pick up that farm, get that energy, and score on your opponent's side and secure objectives. Those are your main focal points of the game. Kills just come second to make stuff easier. Think about it that way. That leads us into our next thing. Retreats are almost as good as kills. If you get someone to back off, capitalize it. I'm not saying capitalize by go execute them unless you can. Unless it is for certain you can and it's easy and there's no other enemies around that will endanger your life to get that execution, then capitalize on the time they spend retreating. Pressure their farm. Potentially pressure their goal zone. Really depends on the situation. But if they're retreating, that means they're weak. And if you're not retreating, more than likely, you're stronger than them. So if you can start pressuring the farm, you pull them off their goal zone and it doesn't turn to a retreat anymore, you can execute them on your own terms, right? Think about these things. I apologize for the scatterbrainness of this video, but remember, master rank mindset. This isn't about getting all excited and be like, oh, here's a big tip to let you steamroll every enemy team. Keep your mind in the right direction. Avoid tunnel vision tilt. Deep breaths. If you lose a lot of games in a row, take breaks. Seriously, it will help. And when you're raging, you're not going to think you have tunnel vision. You're going to think you're playing the game fine. I promise you, you are making so many mistakes. Be self-critical at all times. Evaluate your games and keep an eye on your steady improvement throughout your laddering time. Thank you for listening to me ramble for this time, guys. I love you. I'll catch you in the next one. I hope this video kind of helped open your mind a little bit and get you thinking in the right direction. Later, everybody.